Hello? 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 Right, okay. So, welcome to the first of many revision videos designed to get you through your GCSE geography exam, okay? Trying to make them short and sweet, cover the key concepts that you will need to know to either get your 1 mark, your 2 mark, your 4 mark or your 6 mark. No, they don't do 6 mark anymore. No, so just 4 marks, okay? So I genuinely appreciate that because this is a little bit of a low budget production, that some of the things that appear on the PowerPoint screen might be a little bit difficult to see. So I will try and stick to the key facts, okay? Today's short video is focused on the location of where natural hazards occur, focusing really on tectonic hazards, so your earthquakes and your volcanoes, okay? So key things to remember, that the Earth is obviously split into tectonic plates. There are a number of different tectonic plates. You've got like the Pacific plate, you've got the North American plate, the South American plate, Eurasian plate, and so on and so forth, okay? The UK, which is about here, I'm pointing to it, if you can just about make that out, okay, doesn't sit on a tectonic plate boundary. Therefore, unless you get those freak occurrences where you get pressure build up in the middle of a plate, we don't actually get any earthquakes, okay? So, fact number 1, our earthquakes and our volcanoes occur on plate boundaries, tectonic plate boundaries, okay? And they happen there because that is where our plates meet, or, good word to use, converge, okay? So our plates converge and they come together, or they move side by side, or they move apart, okay? So that is where they happen. Similarly, the bottom map here, again, I appreciate it's difficult to see, that you've got all of your volcanoes. So for example, your most famous area in the world where volcanoes and earthquakes occur is something called the Ring of Fire, and it runs around the edge of the Pacific Ocean, okay? So you've got the west coast of North America and the west coast of South America. You've got Southeast Asia and New Zealand, and then you've got areas like Japan and the sort of eastern side of China, okay? So that is your most famous tectonic plate boundary, okay? So, key points, as I've said, volcanoes and earthquakes occur at tectonic plate boundaries, where two plates meet, they converge, they come together, okay? Next little bit that I want to talk you through on this video is just our 4 types of boundary that exist. Now again, if you want to find out, clearer diagrams than we've got here, then obviously you can go on the internet. Bite Size is a very good website, but there's all sorts of ways that you can come across these diagrams. So, 4 key boundaries that you need to remember, okay? The first is a constructive boundary, or a constructive margin. That is where 2 plates move apart, okay? And I've got up here, the plates move apart, usually underneath the oceans. Lava erupts, and then it hardens as it cools in the sea, and that generally forms new land, okay? New islands, and your examples of that exist in the world are Hawaii and Iceland, okay? So that's a constructive boundary. Plates move apart, lava is released, usually at sea, so it cools, hardens, forms new land, okay? Conservative margin is where our plates move side by side. So a conservative margin, the plates are moving side by side, okay? Either in the opposite direction or in the same direction. And when they hit or they rub against each other, you get a build-up of pressure, you get a build-up of friction, and that is what creates our earthquake, okay? The third one is a destructive margin, okay? And if you use the VLE, you can find out very good ways to draw yourself a destructive margin diagram. So a destructive margin is where you have your 2 types of crust. Continental crust, so your land-based crust, and oceanic crust, your ocean-based crust, okay? And again, if you go on a website and look at it in more detail, you'll see that the oceanic crust gets pushed underneath, okay? So your plates come together like that, and your oceanic one gets pushed under, and your continental one goes over the top, okay? As your oceanic crust gets pushed underneath, it melts, okay? That's something called a subduction zone, okay? So oceanic plates and continental plates collide. Our oceanic crust is pushed under, and that creates friction as the plates melt, and we get a build-up of pressure and a build-up of magma, and that magma has to be released somewhere. So it finds the nearest volcanic vent, volcanic chamber, and it pushes up that volcanic chamber, and that's what leads to a volcanic eruption, okay? So, to summarise, 4 main types of plate margin, or one we haven't mentioned, I should say, is the collision margin. Not going to go too much into that. It's not really one that you'll be asked about in your exam, okay? Two that you should focus on, two that you should revise definitely are your conservative, where they move side by side, and your destructive, where an oceanic crust is forced underneath a continental crust, okay? They're the two classic ones, and if you use your revision notes and use your revision booklet, you'll be able to understand how they work, okay? So that's it from this little video. We've looked at where they occur on the planet, at our plate margins, and then we've looked at 4 main types of plate margin: constructive, collision, destructive, and conservative, okay? Now, use the VLE, log into the VLE, click on subjects, then click on humanities, then click on geography, then find GCSE revision resources, Year 11 revision resources. In there you will find a guide sheet to these different sorts of plate margin and what happens at them, okay? Lovely. Join us next time when we'll look at tropical storms, their location and their formation. Thank you.